Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real, relevant, and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Yes, we have a internal backstory, funny moment to share, but we're excited that each of you are here today. Glad to have you, ladies. How are you all?
All is well. Happy to be here.
All is well. Good. You all look marvelous. I'm like, you know how you have a panel that come on, it's like, wait a minute, these some good looking folk up in here. Y'all look amazing today. Glad to have you here. Very glad.
Thank you.
Listen, I know you've been through quite a bit of things. So today when we talk, we're going to be talking about some pretty traumatic experiences. So for these women that are sitting before you virtually, their stories are riveting and they've gone through a process of healing to become who they are today. So as we talk about how people balance different aspects of their lives, these women are here to share stories of how they've dealt with domestic violence in some capacity. And the visionary herself, Dr. Yolonda Henderson, is here to talk about a new anthology that is sure to change your life. So welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Make sure you all let us know where you're visiting in from. We'd love comments from you. And if you even want to pop on the screen, let me go ahead and share that early on. I'll share a link where you can come on screen. And you can only come on screen if you're willing to show yourself. Now, I know not show yourself meaning your camera, not your video. You know what I mean? Okay, let's keep it clean. Because I do have people come on and do some bizarre stuff. So if you're interested in coming on screen, there are parameters. You need to show your camera and we're going to invite you to be able to ask your question. Okay. Now, if this is for the audio podcast listeners, clearly you're not going to be visibly even seeing this. And we thank you for tuning in as well. All right. I see you, Vanita, already coming in and saying happy Tuesday, which is the day that you're watching this episode. And just keep your comments flowing. Dr. Yolanda Jerry, how are you over there? Dr. Henderson.
I'm doing well. Look, Angela, you know the husband is watching.
Oh, I know.
You're going to have to make sure you say the right thing. It's Henderson.
See, I've known her for many years. Okay, so pardon me, Pastor Henderson. I know that she is betrothed with you. So glad to have you here, Dr. Henderson. And Dr. Yolanda, that's what I'm going to say. That way I just keep
there
it.
You go.
Oh, help me. Okay. Let me tell you all, Dr. Yolanda Henderson is an advocacy is center of her heart. And every philanthropist echoing the stories at its finest is the diversified professional, Dr. Yolanda Henderson. She's a domestic violence, abuse, and sexual assault survivor, an international best-selling author, speaker, business guru, CEO, and founder of YJ Empowerment Solutions. This woman has a lot of different hats that she wears, and I want to let you hear from her because she's the visionary behind my Walk Past Hell anthology series. Welcome, Dr. Yolanda Henderson.
Thank you, Miss Kim Jacobs, the Balance Doctor. Look, Pastor Henderson is watching. He say he understands. Look.
Okay.
But thank you so much for having not just me, but the ladies on your show today. It's an honor to always be on your platform. You inspire me just as much as I inspire others, but you just don't know. Everything that you do is a blessing to me. And so thank you. My Walk Past Hell, what can I say? So my Walk Past Hell movement, I say it's a movement because we're now on volume 3, started back in 2021 with 30 women who were sharing their hell story and how they overcame their hell story. It varies anywhere from domestic violence, sexual assault, you name it. All I can say is those stories, as I had them come into me, because I have to see all of them first, I was on an emotional roller coaster,
Mm,
literally. So if you haven't read volume one, go to Amazon or go to one of the authors that's a part of the book and purchase a copy from them. You will truly be inspired. And you're probably saying, well, why the title? Let me tell you, when the Lord told me it was time, I've contributed to many books. I've stopped counting, right?
mhm.
And so back then, and he told me, he said, now is your time to come out and birth your own book, your own anthology. You've been contributing and giving, giving, giving. Now it's time for you to be able to elevate other people in a process. As I take you up, take other people with you. And so that's what I did. But when it was like three titles that I struggled with, right? And this particular title here, My Walk Past Hell, I was like a little hesitant. He's like, that's the one. And I was like, I'm not sure if that's what I
That
was.
is the one. He told you right.
It was bold, right? It was bold. It's like, what would people think? Because I'm a woman of faith. And then you sit here talking about my walk past hell. Nobody don't want to talk about hell. And I was like, wait a
Oh,
minute. In order to have your hell, in order to overcome hell, you got to tell that story. You got to tell that testimony.
right.
So that's where it pretty much came from. Just being able to be a obedient and willing vessel for God to be able to elevate His people, and so that's how it started.
Well,
And then we grew.
let me ask you this, because I know how it started with these women and they walk past hell. And that image, I'm gonna put it up one more time, and I'm gonna put us in this mode. But the women in this book, is hell is behind them. So they
Yes,
like, we didn't get to the other side of this. And that imagery is so profound and captivating. What made that be the cover of My Walk Past Hell itself, the first
because I mean, when you think of hell, you think of fire,
one? Hmm.
right? And you think about burning, but at the same time, it's like, okay. But at the same time, you think about how God can sit here and just
Mm,
be like, whoo, I'm that fire too,
mm.
right? So which one are you going to represent? And so for me, it was like, okay, I know I've been through the fire, but I'm coming out. God gives us beauty for ashes,
Yeah.
right? So that was pretty much it, is just showing that no matter what we go through, even if we're in the fire, we can still come out on top.
Wow. And then you went to the men's volume, and that was powerful. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh, the men. So I wasn't sure about that one either. Then I was like, okay, God, I see you. I was like, here it is, a woman sitting here being a visionary of book anthology for men. But my husband, then fiance, right? He was
Mhm.
just like, he said, I got you. And so for him to sit there and say, I got you, and say, I support you in this, that was just, the confirmation that I need to go ahead and do this. And not many people that I know had done an anthology. I think it was maybe one out there, but I haven't seen many anthologies where men come together. You
Mhm.
have women being bold, outspoken, doing it, right? But how many men do you find come together to do things together? Usually, you see
Right.
most men that I've come across doing things individually. So why not bring it together, the collective effort to share that men have hell stories just as women, and it's
Yes.
okay to share your story because men are taught to you can't cry, you're seen as weak if you tell a story about what you went through, which is not true. Look, one of the authors is on now, William Scott, from My Walk Past Hell Volume 2. That's my spiritual father. But they told their story, and I was glad that they came. And so having them a part of this book and sharing their story lets me know that, hey, their story, if they're the voice for the men, let them be the voice for the men. I was just the willing vessel to be the catalyst behind pushing them through.
That is so incredible how God used you as a visionary to pull this all together. William Scott, your spiritual father, said, "You took us through that thing, daughter. You did that." And Tilda said, "Hello to everyone. I see all of your comments coming in. I'll kind of go through them throughout the broadcast. Your husband, Pastor Frank Henderson, is on. Glad to have you on, Pastor Henderson. I understand, Miss Jacobs. Keep it popping, ladies. Okay, okay. Let's see. Let's see. Rian said, "Good morning, Queens," to you all as well. So I'm sure all of your tribe will be coming through throughout the broadcast, and we'll keep your comments popped in. Uh, Good morning, Vanita, as well. I see you. So when you decided to do this volume, because you're the visionary behind this as well, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3, tell us about that and how that process has worked for you.
So for volume 3, God was like, I'm taking you back to your root
Mm.
of where it all started, right? Because I've told my story, I've shared my story, a snippet of my domestic violence story. But in this volume, I'm resharing my story, but going a little bit more in depth. And so that way to be in something that I was able to be visionary of. But he was like, domestic violence, that's what you are here for. You're help to help victims and survivors walk through their journey. And what I found is, though, what people don't understand is just because you are a survivor and you overcome, we still deal with those things every day. Something come back and re-trigger us, or something else can come remind us of another part of that story. So we don't never really get the opportunity to tell the whole story. So, I'm just giving a little bit more detail of um, the domestic violence story. But this particular anthology itself is women who have overcome domestic violence, sharing their testimony, sharing their story, and of what they went through and how they've made it through. And so that's where this one has come from.
That's good. And each of you that are a part of this anthology, I know we're going to formally come to you and have you say some things about your chapter, but what made you want to be a part of this particular, and look at the imagery there, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. I love the imagery there because, again, statistics show that 1 in 3, according to any statistics that are pretty much out there, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence is what I'm referencing, though. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate. These are people you trust, know, and love, and think that they have your best interest at heart, by an intimate partner. And then, such as shoving, slapping, pushing, and these are things that are real. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 25 men have been injured by an intimate partner. So what you all have experienced is not something that should be taken lightly. So Mavis, tell us what made you become a part of this anthology.
Thank you for having me on today. As far as the anthology, got a chance to know Dr. Henderson over the last few years, and it's just to see her testimony. And I just say her life is a testimony. A lot of time when we see people that are walking around, I was a part of the first My Walk Past Hell, and I spoke about overcoming the abuse, but I think this time it's on a deeper level um than
Don't tell us.
before.
Don't tell us now.
Oh no, I'm not gonna tell you. You're gonna have to read, and I would like anybody who's a part or linked up with us, don't just buy a copy for you. It's just not a book, but it is a training manual. It is a testimony
Mm,
to show people that you can survive situations that were literally meant to kill you.
mm.
And if I can do it, if God can do that for me, God can do that for your sister, your mother, your aunt, the young lady who feel like she have to sell her body or put herself in a situation to feel love, and you can still make it through. So that's why I chose to be a part of the book.
I am so honored that you're in this anthology, and I cannot wait to read your story. Tanya, if you could unmute yourself as well, tell us why you decided to be a part of this anthology.
Um, Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just led by the spirit. Dr. Yolanda we had reconnected. We went to high school together, and we had lunch together like a year or so ago, and we've kept in touch. She was able to get scholarships for some of my students at another school. Um, and when I heard about what she was doing, God was like, well, why not?
Mm,
And so that was basically it. I was just led to do it.
that's
I
a
had
blessing.
never thought about it before, and I was just led to do it.
And you're glad you did, huh?
I am glad that I did. I can't believe that I did, but I'm
Pushed you
glad
out of your
that I
comfort
did.
zone, huh?
I'm still in, very much so, very much so. I'm never at a loss for words. I'm very outspoken. I talk a lot. I talk for a living, and I'm in shock. I'm shocked and amazed and proud, and I'm glad to be meeting all of these phenomenal women, and it's just amazing. It's totally amazing. And it's something like Dr. Yolanda said, beauty for ashes. I never thought. I just never thought.
Hmm. Wow, I can't wait to talk to you more about that because I have some questions pertaining to that.
Okay.
Laverne, tell us, if you will, what made you become a part of this anthology?
Well, thank you, Kim, and also thank you so much, Dr. Yolanda, for this opportunity to bring us on to, share our stories. I have not had the privilege or the honor to meet Dr. Yolanda other than by phone. I'm looking
You
forward
would
to the
never
opportunity.
know that.
No, but we have a mutual friend, Rian, who's on actually. Good morning. I know she just had a massive trip that she just came from solo. So I'm so proud of her. And then she's also a part of this as well. But for me, I am just honored to have the opportunity to talk about my story. This is something that I have been doing for a long, long time. When I've given the opportunity to talk to women all over the country about my story, I have a very unique life, I guess, if you will. Most people have this a view of me and have no idea of my humble, uh, deep, early life, right? And believe that I have been fed with a silver spoon and have no idea that I know what it's like being at the depths of hell. And so, for me to be able to share this story with like minded individuals who are willing to share their stories that would be impactful to women and inspire women. And just as Magda said, this book is more, it's not just a book. It really is a guide for us to tell our story, because ultimately we hope that, the anointing of God it rests upon these words, and that it would break yokes in women's lives as God has broken yokes in our lives and has caused us to go through the healing process. Because God is still the same today, yesterday, and forever, and He has not changed.
That's
And
right.
for us to be here to tell our stories, not to be, I guess, if you man bashing in any type of way, but to actually talk about the true deliverance, because there is deliverance in the anointing of God. And I know that, and I can speak it. I had the opportunity not too long ago to do a TED talk to talk about forgiveness. And that it is the starting of the healing process,
That's
which
good.
in my chapter, I talk a lot about forgiveness and I talk a lot about the healing process.
Oh,
So thank you again so much for this opportunity, and looking forward to all the great things that's going to come from the book. And
I
those,
have some great questions for you all that I didn't even write or anything, but now as I'm hearing you talk, I'm probably going to ask these questions amongst all of you and give you a chance to say them. But let's go with you, Shalita. Why did you become a part of this anthology?
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I've been knowing Yolanda. She's my best friend since we were 12.
Oh, okay. I was like, y'all even
And
kind of sounded like that's bizarre. I was like, am I talking to So it's funny when you're together a lot. You probably okay, go ahead.
she knows me very well. I know her very well. We went through a lot of life changes together.
Wow.
Um, so she knows a lot about me. I've experienced a lot of things with her. And I have a background where I touch a lot of people as well, mentor and like being a life coach. And I've been so um, afraid to share my story. Uh, and Yolanda knows I keep a very private life, and a lot of people didn't know what I've been through. And talking with Yolanda, she has been my inspiration, my encourager. And she would always tell me, when you're ready. And I would pray about it a lot, and she would never force me anything, but she will always encourage me whenever you're ready, and it was time. And I was ready to share my story, and I have been through many things, and I've been through several different types of relationships. So it's time, and I'm here.
And we are so glad you're here. Listen, everybody, we're going to take a commercial break and then we're going to come back. And what I want to ask you all initially is what is the name of your chapter when we come back? So, what's the name of your chapter? And what do you want readers to walk away with from hearing your story? Now, Dr. Yolanda, you also are part of this particular anthology yourself. So when we come back, I want to hear it from you, Mavis, then you, Tanya, Laverne, Shalita, and then you, Dr. Yolanda, about your chapters, whatever you're willing to reveal to us. But ultimately, everyone, you want to get the book, and where you're going to be able to get it is from each of these authors, as I put their contact information up, or on Amazon. All right, everybody. We'll be right back right after this commercial break.
My father had 4 of his fingers amputated in a workplace accident. It was the first injured individual I represented, and I knew I had to win that case. When someone walks into my office and they've been injured, I know what they're going through. If you've been injured at work, work with Hunter and Everett. We've got the experience, so let us help you.
All right, everyone, we are back here on the Kim Jacobs Show talking with domestic violence survivors of a new anthology spearheaded by Dr. Yolanda Henderson, and it's called My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Everyone should have this anthology series in your library, and not just have it, but gift some to other people. And Mavis, just so you all know, she is an author. She is a consultant, a business development, and she is also a philanthropist. So this woman is a woman of many different hats, and I am super excited to have you on today, and thank you for revealing your deepest, darkest secrets here on the Kim Jacobs Show. Take it away, Mavis.
Yes, I was, I said earlier that it was a different experience writing a book. I had to, like Dr. Henderson said, I had to really gather myself. Because you think about it, I've been through so much, but here I stand. And a lot of people have went through domestic violence, but do not choose to share. But what they don't understand is you could really be saving somebody's life. And so sometimes we look at it from a perspective of this happened to me and it's horrible, it happened, it's bad, it happened. But just think about, as you share, you might give someone else the courage to stand up, to speak up, and ultimately it could save their lives. So at the bottom of the end of the day, that's what it's all about. My chapter is Rise of the Queen.
Rise of the Queen.
What Rise of the Queen. And when I said with an attitude, I mean it. There's no substitution. No longer will anybody make me feel like I'm less than or below. And that's the message I want anybody to read at any age. At any profession, any title, because it's women getting abused from boardrooms to the back alleys. Boardrooms to the back alleys getting beat.
And then keeping it even a secret. So it's like to have to go home and deal with something like that, then come out and look how you look like a queen, right? And to have to know that when you get home, there's something that you have to experience like that. How do you recommend people get themselves enough together to say that's not a part of my story?
A lot with I'm a believer, so I do believe I'm a strong person of faith. I would say get some trusted advisors, some people who can rally around you, because a lot of times when you're going through it, you feel like you're the only person. You really feel like you are alone, and a lot of times abusers will try to isolate you, to play with you mentally and emotionally, to think that you don't have anybody, that you're not good enough. Even the financial abuse that a lot of people don't talk about. If you don't have any money, or if the money that you're making, they're taking all of it, it's really hard to think that you're able to do it and get out of the situation. So just trying to find support. There are resources available. If you let people know, if you let them know this is what's going on, there are resources available at no cost that could potentially save somebody else's life. So I would just say get with people who are trusted, and share with them, make a plan, and know that you can survive, and there's a lot of resources available to help you get out.
Wow. Thank you so much. Now, how did you get out? Are you able to share that with us?
Yes, my situation was a little, everybody's situation is different. I was still in my mind like we were still gonna be together, but it just wasn't right now. So, I'm just being real and real honest. But I had to pack up everything I had, me and my son in my truck, and got kicked out. But it was still it was a trip and it was a trap. So it wasn't, some people who are abusers or also have narcissistic tendencies and will keep a array of people cheating along with abuse. So it's not just one layer. Um, so many of the men and even some women who are abusers, they don't feel like they can do any wrong. So they might have a whole stable of women. Just being honest. So you might be the wife, and then it might be a girlfriend, it might be somebody else, and that's all abuse as well.
All of it's abuse.
All of it's abuse. So I got out when I made the decision, even after certain circumstances, that if I didn't fully separate, then I was gonna lose my life.
Okay.
That was it was the decision that was given to me, that God said, this is it. If you don't stick to what I told you, you're gonna die.
But it came between a revelation from you and God that if you don't go now, I'm giving you a way of escape. You're
I'm
not
giving you a
going to
way
get
of
to
escape.
escape. Wow. Okay.
And if you go back, you're not gonna make it out.
And you didn't turn back.
I didn't turn back.
Thank you, Lord. I'm so grateful. Okay. How can people stay connected with you? If you don't mind.
On all social medias, Mavis A. Career, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow me there or find me anywhere, Mavis A. Career, Mavis A. Career Consultant. And thank you for
Wow.
having me.
Well, you're going to talk some more, but I want to get this the chapter going here. So let me pull you over, Tanya. And I told everybody backstage, the person that helps me backstage is the person that is on maternity leave, Mackenzie, right? And so she has her baby girl. Yay. I'm so excited for her and her family, Trenton and Remy and everybody over there. We're so grateful to God. But I want to make sure too that I let you, but then I don't have to help backstage today, right? So I'm like, ooh, trying to work a panel, but I think I'm doing a good job. Yes, pat yourself on the back. Celebrate when nobody else does, right? All right, Tanya Landry, I am so glad to have you here as an educational leader that cultivates and enjoys helping new teachers on their journey. Glad to have you with us today. Tell us
Thank
about
you.
Thank you. And thank you for being in the car. You still making it happen and everything.
Yeah.
Tell us about your chapter, if you will, and what you want readers to walk away with.
Well, the title of my chapter, I believe it's With Malice.
With malice.
Yes. And what I would want listeners to know, like it's not always a fist or a punch, but sometimes those words,
Mm.
especially like you say, for somebody you've trusted and you've shared yourself with, your life with, and then they use those things to try to demean you and break you all the way down. It messes with your mind, it messes with your esteem. Um,
Hmm.
and when I say your mind, it's not always making you feel bad, but then you find yourself like, okay, so you're plotting, and then you're like, is he worth my freedom? You
Mm-mm.
know, should I cook this special meal for him and just get rid of this
Oh,
problem?
not the
That
special
sort
meal.
of thing. And I'm just like, that's not of God. What made me leave is like in the chapter I speak about the day I left. But my beautiful, beautiful baby, um, it was I chose her over him. And we packed the car and we left.
Hmm. And
And
that's had to be a
so,
difficult decision because you knew you were taking the family at this point was going to be split, and
oh
you
yeah.
but
Hmm.
you made that decision. Were you thinking because of what you just shared, some of the things that you were like, I'm starting to think too psychedelic here. Stuff's getting ready to
Hmm.
pop off.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was for your
Yeah.
benefit and for his benefit
Well, yeah,
everybody.
because at that point, it was my baby's coming with me or going with CPS. CPS was not an option.
Mhm. Okay.
So yeah.
So with malice, that right there, y'all, that chapter, you need to read that because at the end of the day, it was some malicious thoughts, some things running around in her head, some things clearly had already been running around in his head. So that's what
Mhm.
made her concerned enough to take her daughter and get gone out of the situation. What advice do you give people, Tanya? Because there are a lot of people watching that have thoughts and they may haven't acted on them yet. What advice would you give them?
It's just time to go. It is just time to go. Go with whatever you can fit in your car. Go with nothing but go. Because that person is not going to change and things are going to continuously escalate.
Mm.
And it may be you, it may be him, it may be, you know, both of you. Because I mean, life behind bars is no life. So
Mm.
you don't want that.
I'm really glad you're saying that, Tanya, because like I know in my situation, I never had malice towards, let me put us here. I never had malice towards the individual people involved or anything. So where I was thinking about hurting anyone, but I thought about the fact that because they were so close to me, and I didn't, unbeknownst to me in some situations, that I didn't even know that I thought they had my best interest at heart. So I didn't even know that there was malice towards me because the mask was that I love you. You're so awesome. I'll do anything for you. You're my world. I wrap gift the world up in a gift box and give it to you. So I actually was tricked in some regards. I did not know that stuff was popping off. So like you're describing a situation where you felt there was malice. What about
Oh,
people?
it was malice towards me too, because it was things like, you share something and they throw it in your face, and it's at a bad time in your life, at the worst moment. They could say the most hurtful things, and it's like it just, I never used to believe in like snapped. Oh, people don't snap. That's
I
a
do believe
decision
that.
you make. You do that. That's what you wanted to do. You can snap.
And nobody can say they can't snap because nobody's above anything because you don't know what that thing is that's going to trigger you. Like
Exactly.
I have 4 kids on this earth and 1 in heaven, so I have 5 children. And anybody that know me know you do not don't you you would feed my kids, and you had this kind of issue with me, and I didn't even know it, and that you don't do stuff like that. So whether you
Mhm.
think you are above reacting a certain way or not, you don't know how you'll react in a situation. So it's better to say, let me, Kim, the common denominator, that's the issue or whatever is going on around here. Let me just back out of here. God bless you, saints. Everybody have a great life. Bye 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 bye. Because I don't want anybody to be hurt at all. I don't
Right.
want me to be hurt. I definitely don't want my children to be hurt. And I don't want any of you all to be hurt, whoever you all are. Just have a great life. Right?
Yeah.
What advice would you or any of you on the panel say to people that are getting kind of sideswiped? They don't know that they are in some kind of domestic violence situation. You don't even know. You think you got it going on. Hey, everybody's doing so good.
I heard a quote, and I'm not sure who said it. But they said, evil is cruel but never smart. And so when you're looking at your situation, take a second and say, is my reaction smart? Because if I do this, is that a smart thing to do? Am I facing time? Is it smart? And if it's not smart, then that means it's evil, it's not of God, and it's time for you to go.
I'm grateful you're sharing this. And you're so calm about it. So you definitely would some kind of empowerment specialist person. Is that I'll be
It's
like, oh.
actually been me and my knees. I swear to you. I mean, I have my family, but they didn't really know because I wanted to look the part. Um, so they didn't really know how things had gotten,
Mhm.
because there's shame with allowing yourself to be in a position like that, or being tricked by somebody like that, especially when you believe that you're smart and you don't see that coming. But it's just the grace of God. That grace and mercy is a real thing.
It is. God knows how to show up in ways that you don't even know that you need him to show up for you, because the whole time he's got you, but you don't even know that he's shielding you from something. So to God be the glory. Someone said, Vanita said, "Hey, you're telling my story. No one knows what is really happening. Even though he is not putting his hands on us, he does do a lot of other things."
Mhm.
That's good. Wow.
Yeah, the other things, sometimes those other things are incredible, and it's just like, you really doing that. And see, I'm a New Orleans woman, so it's only so much that you're gonna be like,
When you said New
okay.
Orleans, you like that's like you. That's funny how you said
Because
that. I'm in New
you think
Orleans.
about, oh, I'm gonna cook for you. I got you. I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna fix you a nice plate of whatever it is you like to eat. You ain't got to worry about that last meal. So and when you start thinking like that, it's not good. It's not good.
Okay. Yeah, grace and mercy, grace and mercy.
Grace
Document
and
and
mercy.
take. Karen said that. And then Carlene says document and take lots of pictures. These are the
Mhm.
tips coming from the studio audience. Y'all keep your comments coming in. How can people stay connected with you, Mavis?
I think it's TanyaLandry@gmail.com or Tanya.Landry@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. So you all can email her TIN. It's TINYA for those that are audio
Yes.
podcast listeners. TINYA Landry at gmail.com or Tanya.Landry. I don't know which one. So you have to tell us. I'm just gonna
It's
put that.
either one.
It's the one with the dot in it. TINYA dot Landry.
Okay. So Tanya.Landry@gmail.com. I'll correct that. And that's how you stay connected with her. If you want to get the copy of the book from any of these authors, as I put their contact information in the comment section, all you have to do, this is the book, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Domestic violence survivor stories is what's happening throughout this entire anthology. So make sure you all get your copy and get it from any of these authors. Let me go over to you, Laverne. Thank you so much, Tanya, for opening up so much. I greatly appreciate it. Laverne, how are you over here? Let me pull you over. How is your day?
It's great. Starting the day out just wonderful, especially being here and listening to these stories of how God has helped us overcome. So the chapter of my book is the emptiness, and the reason for it is because violence or abuse began when I was a child. So that was pretty much all that I knew, as I can remember from the time I was 6 years old. I was raised by an older parent, and for many years, I held a lot of anger and bitterness towards her because I didn't think that she loved me. And also, I learned that I was adopted at 14. So that was another component of rejection. And my mother went through a lot in life. So, because of the challenges that she was being faced with, I took a lot of that anger and bitterness from her own trauma that she was being faced with my adopted dad. And then from there, at the age of 18, I thought that I was escaping the abuse. And I got married to someone who was much older than me. And I talk a little bit about that in the book, and come to find out that that he liked to chastise his women. And so I jumped right out what they say, out the frying pan into the fire. And went through a number of very gruesome mental and physical abuse for several years. And then from that, I really didn't learn my lesson. I know you asked, how did I escape? Yes, I left with $368 in my pocket. At that point, I had 4 kids, lived in an apartment with no furniture, and I talk a little bit about that. But I'm a repeated. I walked out of one situation. I would hear the term where it says that the names have changed, but the individuals are the same. And that's because of the fact that I basically didn't know no other life but abuse. I didn't know anything else other than that, because I thought I was deserving. I didn't think that I was loved. And I didn't think that I knew how to do anything right, because I was told for so many years that I was stupid and dumb and ugly and never amount to anything. So that's what I believed in myself, for many, many years. Got in a situation with another individual, got out of that situation, went into another situation. May not have been physical, but it was very verbal. And I didn't really get out of the situations of abuse until I was in my 50s. Well, I'm not proud to say that, but it's the truth, because it was very difficult for me because I didn't understand my worth. And that's one of the things that I really want to get across to young women, especially about understanding your worth. When you know your worth, then you won't settle. When you know your worth, then there are boundaries that you set. And I had no idea what those boundaries were, nor did I understand my worth. So if I didn't understand my worth, why would I expect anyone else to appreciate my worth? And so this has been a real journey for me, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to write down the journey that I've been on for almost, I guess I'm 63 years old, so it's been
You look
almost.
amazing. Well, you can't keep talking through that. You look, girl, you look
Thank
slamming,
you.
beautiful, gorgeous, like magazine, step out of Vogue magazine, gorgeous. Oh
I'm
my,
ready to get paid for that. Hopefully, as somebody I get discovered.
yes, you can't just talk like, oh, I'm 60. So no, girl, bye. You look good, bro.
I know. Maybe it's the New Orleans water. I have no idea. To my New Orleans girls that's on here. But yeah, so for me, I talk about the cycle, right? I talk about self-worth. So that's important. And the other thing, for me, is purpose. I didn't realize that I understood purpose and a mission and assignment until I read this awesome book called Purpose Driven Life. And so that book was life changing for me. And then I had this wonderful spiritual minded individual who taught me how to let go of my past. And so I didn't know how to do that. But once I began to learn how to let go of my past, understand my self worth, seek my purpose, be about the mission, and fulfill those assignments, then the healing process began. So again, I share all this in the chapter, and so hopefully, I just hope and pray that women out there will read our chapters and can identify with the challenges that we were faced with, and it'd be such an impactful, inspirational moment for them that changed their lives.
And it will, I can tell just by hearing you all speak about it is already life changing. What advice would you give a person that, because you were a repeat abuse victim, basically, or a survivor, or thriver, or whatever words people use, but the point is you came out on the other side. But there are people that are going through this vicious cycle over and over again, and they can stop it much sooner. What advice would you give them to say, stop it and right when you see the first sign, this is not for me. I don't care what they saying out of their mouths. This is not for me. How do you help them break that?
Well, again, I think that being around individuals who may have dealt with that they actually listen and take heed to the experiences that we've all have faced. The key point of it is that you got to first be able to identify it, right? And then secondly, it all depends on the circumstances. A lot of women stay in abusive situations for financial reasons. Not only that they have been brainwashed to believe nobody else wants them, that this person has convinced them that they love them and that's the only love that they really know. It's just a lot of things that women go through, and I'm sure men too, but I can only speak for women because I'm a woman and have dealt with all of that whole process of, being convinced that this is the only person that's going to love me, or whatever the case may be. And so I really, when it talks about advice, the only advice that I could give someone is to really understand the signs and really understand, is this worth it? Because it could cause your life.
I'm glad
It
you're
can be
saying that.
have a major impact on your children. And that can go down to that generational curse where you find out that your sons are following the same direction as their father. And so, again, when it comes to advice, only thing I can do is talk to them about my own situation and hope and pray that it would be impactful where they can actually now can see clear the situation that they may be in.
Wow. Well, how can people stay connected with you directly? And I have it here on the screen, but just tell them.
Yeah, that's my website is ltrightforyou.com or my Facebook at Laverne Solney, and also with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is at Laverne Tunes, as well as my Instagram at Laverne Tunes, TOOMBS.
You all make sure you stay connected with this author. She's also an entrepreneur, a mother of 4. She's a grandmother of 6. And she has a newborn grandchild that just came to the world yesterday. Congratulations to
Yes,
you.
excited.
So excited for you. I don't know how you look that good and just had a grandbaby yesterday. You know, I'd be like, you know, birthed it too, and just to birth the child yourself. You know how you feel like that. You be like, how's it going? How's it going?
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that.
All right, everybody, listen, we're going to go right over to Shalita. Shalita, so glad to have you on right now. And I am going to, first of all, I still have you front and center over there, Laverne. So you still front and center with your beautiful self over there. But I'm going to pull you over, Shalita, and give you an opportunity to speak as well. And now, Shalita, everyone, she is a spiritual mentor. And she's also a life coach. I'm so glad to have you here, Shalita. Talk to us, if you will, about your chapter and what you want readers to walk away with.
Sure. Um, my chapter name is A Different Relationship, the Same Man.
Woo! A different relationship. So kind of like what Laverne is saying.
Actually, I have 5 relationships, abusive relationships.
Okay.
And
A different
I,
relationship, same man. Okay.
yeah.
Talk to us.
So
That made me throw my
basically,
pen down right there. That's almost discouraging. I promise you that's discouraging to me.
um, I actually come from a family of love, a very close family.
Mhm.
Um, I would consider myself a person, very close knit family from New Orleans. And I'm not gonna say well, I was kind of naive to the world in a sense. Um, so I myself grew up kind of semi nerd. That's how I met Yolanda in honor classes. Um,
Aw.
so I was not really into boys growing up. Um, I was really into like sports and reading and
Right.
everything. So once I got into the world of dating, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, and naive to boys. I was a late bloomer and um, daddy's girl. So anything a man told me, I believed. And um, I consider myself being picky, but didn't realize I was picky in some gullible ways.
Mm.
And I found myself finding my first relationship when I was about abusive relationship when I was about, I would say, 19. Think I knew everything, ran up right into a wall. My first relationship of abuse was with a drug dealer. He flowered me with a bunch of gifts, clothes, jewelry, telling me he loved me, and my book tell a lot about it. Um, my dad knew about the situation and
Mm, mm, mm,
he would abuse me. He would, my dad tried to get that situation, and I'm the type of person, I thought I knew everything, of course, teen, and I thought it was love. Him giving me gifts and doing all of this, didn't know what I was doing, and he started to abuse me. He pulled a gun out on me several times, told me he would take my life if I left him, told me he would take the lives of my family members.
mm.
And it really pushed, he isolated me, pushed me away from friends, family, and it got worse from there. I had to actually, to get away from him, I had to actually run out. When he left, I had to get out of the apartment bedroom window.
Because you were locked. Were you locked in or something?
Oh yeah,
So
he
you would
had
have.
he had the keys to the door and locked me in and told me if I ever left him, he was going to kill me and my family. So I actually had to escape through the bedroom window.
But you made it. So you are here to tell this story.
Yeah,
And you all need to read the chapter to find out how she
yeah,
made it.
yeah.
Okay. So that you don't get every piece of the puzzle here. But you made it.
I didn't go in detail. So yeah,
Oh,
and of course he had a lot of women. He was in and out of jail. So there's a lot to that story. I mean, I'll probably be in the next book.
wow. Okay. So what do you want readers to know when they walk away from reading your chapter?
There's a lot more to it. I had suffered abuse as well with my son's father. He almost took my life. I had to actually go to domestic violence court with him. Um, I walked away from him. Um, and that's in the chapter.
Mm.
After him, I went through soul searching, put my son first, um, moved away, and went through a long period of time of, uh, in church, getting my life together. Um, God was my relationship.
Mm.
My son was my relationship. And then, of course, think it was about 10 years later, I run into another abusive relationship because I had told myself I would never put myself or my son through any of that. So I
Mhm.
was very protective of my son, and I never wanted a man around him or anybody because I was so protective of things that we went through.
Mm.
And I found myself 10 years later, once my son got grown, I felt more comfortable in myself, and I felt that I loved myself, and I felt more confident to say, okay, my son's grown up, he's in high school, it's time for mama to go ahead and date again,
Right.
more seriously. And I find myself meeting someone. He was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Dang.
Yes.
And you
So
can't predict that. I mean, nobody can predict that somebody's putting
no,
on an air trying to trick you out.
no, he actually worked with me.
Aw. So
Yes.
you thought you knew him.
Right. Because I worked so much. I worked a lot of hours. I really never had time. I didn't go on dating apps. So I thought I knew him because we do background checks. And so I'm not gonna put too much out there because I don't want that person,
Yeah, that's why I put this the show, the views expressed, everybody, are the views of our individual guests, not that of the Kim Jacobs show or me per se. It's like we just sharing our
and
personal opinions.
this individual, I have brain damage from this. Gave me a concussion and wound up in the hospital. Um, so I have a little bit of brain damage from this relationship. And it was not too long ago,
Oh my
a couple
gosh.
years ago. Yes.
And you didn't see any signs of this.
No, not at all.
Oh. So so what can women
Mhm.
do? Right. Tell
And
what can we do to look for signs of this?
and realized he had a lot of healing to do himself.
Oh my
Yes. And I hid a lot of this from my best friend, from my family.
God. Mm.
And
Oh.
now I suffer from memory loss and a lot of things as far as forgetfulness. So it's not worth it.
But you didn't know until you were literally in that moment. Like you saw this person, You like, I feel comfortable. I feel like I can go be
I
alone with
didn't see it until 2 years later when I try to leave him. When I try to leave him is when the abuse started because he would have other women around my back, would kick me in my head, everything, use objects. Yep. I even have a scar on my foot from something that happened. It's in the book.
Y'all, please get a copy of this book, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Uh, you can get all the volumes on Amazon, Volume 1, 2, and 3.
And that's why I say you can always think you went from one and thought you healed and think you know someone. And then you run into another relationship
Whew.
and the
Okay.
try to escape, you know, escape something and run right into it again. But he's gone out of my life.
He's
The
what?
escape, he's gone out of my life totally.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the
Thank
escape
God.
is the difficult part.
Well, thank God that you're okay enough to be here to continue to let your light shine, and your story is going to
Mhm.
change the lives of so many other people because we will know, and I say we because I'm now out here as well. I never thought I would ever say this out of my mouth, but it's okay. And not yeah, anyway, I don't even know what to say. Point is, you're going to be helping a lot of women know what signs to look for, I guess, and things that we can do to try to hopefully put ourselves in the best possible positions when considering people. So thank you for sharing your story. How can people stay connected with you?
I'm
Mm.
Instagram at Creole Lady 777
Okay.
and Creole Lady 777 at gmail.com.
Yes. Whew. Okay. Thank you so much. We're going to go back to you, Dr. Jerry Henderson, Yolanda, Dr. Yolanda Henderson, and and we're going to take a commercial break and come right back. What I'm going to do is hear from you, Dr. Henderson, and then I'm going to just hear a closing comment from each of you ladies so you'll know what the order is coming up next. And yes, Kevin has a comment. He said, well, men also get abused too. And we did share some statistics with the fact that men do get abused. And one of the statistics was 1 in 4 men experience some form of physical violence by an intimate partner, and 1 in 25 men have been injured by an intimate partner. So you are correct. And in these different anthologies that Dr. Yolanda J. Henderson is spearheading, one of them is called My Walk Past Hell. Let me put that up again. I'm gonna make sure we do it that way. My Walk Past Hell, Volume 1. So you all know you can go and get these books. And then she has this one here, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3, which is the one that we're talking about now. And I want to put this one back up for the men because I see some men on here today. And I know some of you are just recently joining. And I want to make sure that you know there is a whole anthology that only men pretty much were in. And that's one of her My Walk Past Hell series as well. And it's this one. Let me pop that up for you because I want y'all to know what they look like when you go to Amazon or you go to any of these authors to get your copy of the book. You'll be able to get it. Let me put that image up for you, Kevin. Thank you so much for being in the virtual studio audience too today of the Kim Jacobs Show. And did it come up yet? Let's see. My Walk Past Hell, the men's volume. That's what I want you to see. So when you do see that image, go and get your copy. Mom, I see your comment. You said, please get me this book. She said, I don't know what you're doing, but make sure you get a copy of this book for me. I see you, Mom, and I'll have your copy. we have to get our own individual copies because my mom likes to highlight. She pulls out a journal, takes notes, and put it in an extra binder. I'm like, please don't write, don't write in my book. My gosh. So I have to get her own copy as well. So thank you, Kevin, for your comments. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to be done today. In the next 10 minutes of this episode, we're going to come to closure, but I do want to give each of you ladies a chance to share a closing comment, if that's fair, right after our next commercial break. You all, it's so much information that you're sharing. It's hard to squeeze all of this in an hour, but we're doing a good job over here. Let's take a quick commercial break, come back to hear from Dr. Yolonda, Jerry, and closing comments from everyone here on the panel. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, and we are talking with some of the authors of My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Dr. Wanda, Jerry, share with us your chapter in this book, and you're the visionary behind all of the anthology.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. So my chapter highlights when I was going through an abusive marriage. I was in it for about 5 years. Um, I was young in the military. People think that people in the military don't get abused. Well, guess what? I was one of them. Yes, they do. And to, piggyback on what the male said, he said men get abused too. That is true. I've seen it even in the military. You got women that abuse men too as well. So we're not going to just say that it's just all women, because statistics shows it's men and women. I went through the abuse. I think every part that defines domestic abuse, I probably touched each one of them. I know Laverne talked about the financial. What I want people to understand though is that when it comes to domestic abuse, if we aren't aware of what to look for, we think is normal. A lot of it goes back to, like Laverne said, for some of us, the story goes back to it all started at home. Sometimes you think that, when your parents are talking to you and they tell you whatever happens in my house stays in my house, that's part of coercive control. People don't know the definition of coercive control, but that's the things and the words and the verbal things that are said that leads up to the physical aspect of things, right? It's mind control. It's basically called power and control over an individual, and so that includes the verbal, the emotional, the mental, everything that leads up to the physical part. And a lot of the things that we have seen in our past and growing up in our childhood, whether it was in the home or within family, again, we thought that was normal. We had not been educated, right? But as we get older and we become matured in our own adult life, we find out through awareness, through training, through stories of other survivors that, wow, yep, I was in that situation and didn't even realize I was in that situation. And so for us, as people who have survived, I also want to make clear, just because you survived don't mean that you're healed, right? Just because you survived don't mean that you're healed. Healing is an ongoing, continuous journey. And so what I want to say, so I don't stay here and take too much time, is I want to speak to the people who know someone who has survived but are on their healing journey. Because a lot of times we see somebody that survived and that's it. No, that's not it. They still have a ways to go. And so I just want to kind of give 10 things real quick to talk to the people who are listening and watching. And this is important for others to understand and take away. Number one, resilience. Recognize that survivors' strength and resilience in breaking free from an abusive situation. Recognize that it's not easy and their courage should be acknowledged and respected, because it takes courage to leave an abusive situation. Number two, support. Offer your support and understand without judgment. Offer support without judging the individual. Survivors often need a strong support system to continue to heal and rebuild their lives so they don't go back to what they were used to. Number three is empowerment. Understand that survivors have taken control of their lives, so encourage them to make good decisions for their well being and respect their choices. Um, and this one is a big one. Number four, no blaming. We'll find that people always try to blame, do the blame game. Never blame the survivor for the abuse that they've endured, because again, we aren't aware. We didn't even know, right?
Mm.
And so domestic violence is never the fault of the victim. Never the fault of the victim. Uh, Number five, awareness. Be aware of the signs of domestic violence. If you don't know, find out. You can just Google domestic violence and you can find out all the signs that will lead up to domestic violence. And even if you suspect someone in an abusive situation, uh, be there to lend a helping hand, or be able to give that resource once you have it and you've educated yourself on the issue. Which leads to the resources. Familiarize yourself with the local resources, with the national resources, because a lot of times I find, being serving in this capacity as an advocate for survivors and victims of domestic violence, I continuously get calls and emails from people that's not even in my local area, but I have to refer them out to local resources in their area. So get familiar with that, and make sure that you have that, with you too as well. And number seven, listen. A lot of times we listen and be ready to respond, but really be a good listener when a person is going through something or they're still on their journey. Survivors need to talk about their experiences that they're feeling because they're real, right? And have a non-judgmental spirit. Be empathetic, because being empathetic says a lot. We know Jesus was empathetic, sympathetic. So at the end of the day, why not be like him? And then number eight, respect boundaries. Respect the survivor's boundaries and let them heal at their own pace. Don't rush them. Don't tell them, oh, you should be over it already. That's not right. Because people be like, you should over you already left. Why you not over it already? Recovery is a personal journey for each individual survivor. So again, respect the person at their pace and healing. And number nine, advocate. Consider becoming an advocate for domestic violence awareness. I encourage all survivors, once they get into a place where they feel like they can tell their testimony over and over, become an advocate. Become an advocate. We should all be voices for those who are mute, those who are silenced. That's the only way that we can eradicate domestic violence abuse, is that we continue to be advocates for those who suffer in silence. And which leads me to my last point, which is 10. Break the silence. Encourage victims, encourage survivors to speak out about their experiences once they've survived the situation. Because remember, your story is not for you, it's to help others overcome. Once they see you and they see that you have overcome, that will encourage them to say, you know what, I can do this too. And they will feel more comfortable in walking in that direction. So share your stories to raise awareness, reduce the stigma surrounding domestic violence. And I just want to say, remember that each survivor's experience is unique and the path to recovery varies from person to person. So the key is to be compassionate, be empathetic, be understanding, and be ready to offer assistance when you can.
Wow. Well, I actually became your executive assistant backstage and started typing everything that you said. I don't know if I did it justice, but I did capture all of your points. It's just not in the professional point number 1, 2, 3.
That's
4.
okay.
But I put resilience, support, empowerment, no blaming of the survivor of the abuse, awareness of domestic violence signs, become familiar with them, listening to the person who survived with really empathetic ears, having a non-judgmental posture, respecting their boundaries, becoming an advocate, breaking the silence. This is all tips by Dr. Yolonda Henderson. And yes, again, I give myself kudos on the back here because I typed every point for her. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing those tips.
You're welcome.
Speak volume is what someone said. I see congratulations, beautiful queens, on your courage. Everything that's coming through comments, I'm seeing all of your comments. And I think the panel will go back and on Facebook and different places, try to respond to you all as well. So speak, Yolonda, is what she said. And thank you all. Whew. Dr. Yolonda, what's a closing comment you have while I have you on the screen? And then I'm going to get one from everyone else and we'll close out today's episode.
For the victim, you are not alone. As you can tell, there's women here on this panel right now who are, even though they're on their healing journey, I'm sure, more than sure, they are willing to help because they've already provided you their contact information. So just know that you're not alone in this fight to overcome domestic abuse. And then for the survivors, just even if you are on this journey right now, just be encouraged. Continue to walk at your own pace and surround yourselves with people who will continue to empower and encourage you. And last but not least, I will say this: lean on to the Most High. If you are a woman or a man of faith, believe me, if you seek your personal relationship with God, trust me, there's so much more that you will be able to see clearly when you just have that personal one-on-one time with Him. And that's all that I have. Thank
all right. You. Domestic violence hotline is 800 in the United States anyway. And I know many of you view it in different countries. So get your domestic. Go ahead.
I got one more thing. That's right. 1-800-799-8233. That's the domestic violence hotline. And also the website is thehotline.org. thehotline.org is the website. And you can talk to someone there too as well. I also want to point out, because my wonderful husband reminded me of this, those who were a part of volume 1 and volume 2, we did get #1 bestseller in multiple categories for both of those books. And so the goal is to shoot for the 3rd time as #1 bestseller for these ladies too as well. So be on the lookout. We're shooting to have the book drop in October towards the end of the month, but if it doesn't happen in October, it would definitely happen in November. So Domestic Violence Awareness Month is in October, so be on the lookout.
And while you're doing a lot of talking over there, which I'm really grateful for because you're dropping so much knowledge, can you tell people to donate to the Kim Jacobs Show too? Because that's something we need some support in order.
Yes, donate. You see it scrolling on the bottom of the screen. So of course the Kim Jacobs Show, of course, it streams, but of course they always have bills to pay too as well. So feel free to donate to the Kim Jacobs Show. And she also has a foundation too, founded behind her child as well. So what is it, Gabe's Heart Foundation, I believe, that she does a wonderful thing with too as well. So feel free to
thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There it is, gabesheart.org.
All right. My show, like, it's time. You better get off of here. I'm going to take you off of here. This is doing its own thing. It's like, let me hear a closing comment from you. It's like, oh, didn't you say the show ended this time? Okay. Let me hear a closing comment from you as well, Mavis. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your. So funny. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock. I'm talking through it because I want y'all to still be on here. Set thing. All right, we're back, and I want to hear a closing comment because I think your comments are it's just how the enemy works sometimes, but I think the comments are going to be important as we close out. So I'm trying to force it to go back. Give me a second. All right, I can see that it's on the screen. So let's see if I can get you over here, Mavis. And go ahead and make a closing comment, Mavis, if you will.
Thank you so much for having me. Even at your lowest, you can still get up.
Thank you. And see that, you see what I'm saying? That is such an important comment. Let's go to you next. Let's go to you, Laverne. What's a closing comment for you?
Seek to know your worth. I think
See,
that's extremely important. Seek to know your worth.
all right, that's a beautiful thing. Once you know your worth, you won't just tolerate any old thing, and you'll get yourself to safety. Is what it sounds like. Tanya.
Um, I would say do away with shame. Don't be ashamed.
Hmm.
When you let go of the shame, there's so much freedom just in life.
Okay, very good. So, getting past the shame and embarrassment of other people and what they think about the fact of what you've experienced that you didn't even know you were going to experience. So, how can you be ashamed of something that you didn't even know was getting ready to pop off, right?
Right.
So, what do I have to be ashamed of? I wasn't the one plotting against me. And even the people may, that's interesting. The people may not have even been plotting against you. They just may have just been trying to deal with whatever it is that they were trying to get fulfilled in their own lives. You think? I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, just, when you thought something was going to turn out a certain way and you look like the people in the frame, only to not be the people in the frame, it's embarrassing. So just don't worry about it.
Hmm, that's
Let
good.
it go.
Okay. All right. Who didn't we get to go yet? Let's see. Tanya, Laverne. Laverne, did you go? Okay. Shalita, did you go?
No.
Go, please.
Okay. And lastly, I would piggyback again on Dr. Henderson, and say truly develop your relationship very strongly with God and keep it there and love yourself. Truly love yourself.
Truly love yourself more than just letting any old thing happen to us. I love that point. And Laverne, did you go yet? I didn't. Did I hear you? You went. Okay. Well, what was your point again? Because then all of that commercial stuff was going on. I need to hear it again.
I said, know your worth.
Knowing your worth. Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes, and I
And
agree with Shanita. Definitely learn to love yourself first. That's the most important thing. When you love yourself first and you know how to love, you know what it is, then all those other things where people pretend that they love you, you want them to treat you the way that you treat yourself.
I love that. Okay. And you went to Mavis? You went first, right? But can you go one more time just to be on the safe side? Because
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is get that other piece probably edited out that when the last part was, so y'all have a clean product here. But
Um,
go ahead.
you can always, no matter how low you go or low you are, you can always get up.
Okay.
You can lose everything, every materialistic thing, but as long as you have your life, that is.
That's good. We got the point. I don't know, somebody's calling your phone, but Dr. Yolanda, say the closing comment one more time too, because I wanted on.
I just said so much, I don't forgot what I said. No, but I will say this though. Um, break the cycle. Break the cycle. There's more to life on the other side. And remember, your children and your grandchildren are watching. You're on mute, Kim.
Our children watching us is a huge. They're paying attention no matter how you slice it. No matter how you slice it, they are forming their own opinions and they are making judgments and they're crafting some of their life decisions around what we do as their parents. And so that's so important. Thank you. Thank you all for being our guests today here on the Kim Jacobs Show, going on this roller coaster ride with us. Everybody that's tuned in, your comments have been wonderful. Your stories are life changing, and it's not a story, it's your life story, it's your life memoirs. So thank you all for being here today sharing. How can people get a copy one final time?
You can get a copy from each one of these beautiful, wonderful ladies, or you can also get a copy on Amazon. Be on the lookout. It's not out yet. It'll drop at the end of October or very beginning of November.
All right, everybody. That's today's episode. Have a great day. I'm really going to close out now. And thank you all for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Dr. Yolonda J. Henderson, you are amazing. And so is every one of you all that represented today. I'm sure all of the authors are equally amazing. So thank you for your contribution to the book, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. I'm not even going to put it back up because there's too much happening over on this end. So have a great day, everybody. Yeah, I am going to try and put it up one more time. Let's see. Is it up there? Yes. My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Get your copy today. Go get all 3 of the volumes because it will bless your life. God bless you and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to